So, I was going to use this doll's head to go with this body. I think it's a ghost body or something. But I haven't painted a doll's face before, so I'm reluctant to use this one because it just looks so realistic and really nice. The lips look nice and the nose, so I don't think I'll use that. I'll use this one. I think this is Mermaid's head by the look of the ears. And it's got like a pointy nose, and because I'm thinking if I make a mistake, because I'm making a mask for it, if I make a mistake I can just cover the face with a mask. I mean, I was thinking of making the mask and putting a ribbon on it so you could still see the face underneath, but it all depends on my skills. I'm gonna have to do some repair work on the head. But yes, and as you can see, I'm having a great difficulty chopping her legs off. My Dremel, the blade broke on it, so anyway, I've seen another Dremel tool, really good. So I'm going to use that to hack her legs off. Oh my god, I'm such a nervous wreck. I couldn't film this. It's the first time I've used one of those Dremel cutting things. And my hands were just shaking. I kept on thinking the blade was going to fly off and land in my head or in my eyeball or something. And as you can see, I haven't done a very good job. It's not a clean finish at all. But I am going to sand this down. And I didn't realise the legs were solid. I mean, I should have guessed, shouldn't I, looking at this. So what I'm going to have to do to insert the wire into the lower legs is drill a hole through the leg. Just have to keep my fingers crossed that it doesn't split the leg. But, I mean, that's easy fixed anyway. Oh, I hope I don't have to cut too many limbs off, because my god, that was a very nerve-wracking thing I had to do. I suppose I'll get used to it, won't I? But I didn't expect the... I never checked the speed on it. It's like 1 to 5 and then max level. But I'd only bought it new and it was already switched up to the max level. So I turned it on and it was just like, oh, vibrating. And the doll flew this way. The blade went the tool thing went that way. Oh, God. Just a nervous wreck. I'm going to have a nice cup of coffee now to calm down. So, I've made a pair of legs from a wire armature and then covered them in tin foil. They look flimsy at the minute, but once I start putting the clay on and sculpting them, they'll look more sturdier. It's just trying to figure out how to get them onto here. I'm going to sculpt them in Super Sculpey polymer clay, and then to attach them, and then I'll cure them in the oven, and then to attach them onto the plastic legs, I'll have to use 2-part epoxy sculpt. I suppose I could have used that air drying clay, but it just takes forever to dry. Whereas I want to see me results within an hour or two, and then I can make any corrections and it won't take forever. And this is what I call the ugly stage. I mean, it looks like a bird's foot and leg with the foil on it. But when I put the clay on it, it's just a matter of squeezing and trying to shape it into something that resembles a bird's foot. But yeah, this is the stage I'm thinking, oh god, it's just not going to go the way I want it. And I mean, I don't give up, just continue going. I mean, the spacing is wide apart, unlike this. But that's just because I'm shaping the, it's, what do you call them, fingers or toes? On a bird's foot, toes. I'm just shaping it, trying to get them into the shape that I want them to be, and then I'll push them all closer together so it resembles more of a bird's foot. And then when I'm happy with that, I will start adding the, I don't even know what they call them, the little scale things on, and the nails, claws, talons. Yeah, I'll put them on, so I'll just continue with this until I'm happy. Well, I'm pleased the way the feet are looking. One's obviously bigger than the other, but I'm not really fussed about that. Doesn't really matter. Because it is a monster after all, and I've got 1 foot bigger than the other. I'm just rolling little bits of clay up and squishing them out to try and make the plates on the toes, and then I'll go right the way up the leg. So I am trying to, with great difficulty, attach the legs, the bed's legs, to the doll's legs. I'm using a glue gun with a wire that was already inside the legs, the armature. I've bent it into the doll's legs, and I'm trying to glue it into position so I can put the milliput or 2-part epoxy wherever down. But I've done my research and looked at beds' legs, and they do go like that, but I'm not really 100% sure if that looks alright. But we'll see when I put everything. It's a bit frustrating, but exciting. Hopefully it does turn out the way I want it to. Unfortunately for you, the viewers, I've had to do the majority of this doll, what would you say, off film. Because I just can't manage to have my arms outstretched sculpting while I'm videoing. It's just me, the way my arm situation is at the minute. But I'll just explain what I've done here. So after I glued the super sculpy legs onto the doll, then I put this, what's it called, milliput. Never used it before. It was quite fun using because I like the wet situation. But the only thing is with it, with super sculpy, when I add clay, I can manipulate the clay so you don't see any seams. But with this, I just couldn't do it, so I'm gonna have to watch more tutorials and experiment some more. Cause can you see? That's where I've added it. I just couldn't really smooth it out to hide that. So then I've tried with these one. I got some files, and I've tried to get them out, but I can't. I mean, the majority of this part of the leg will be hidden with the clothing, but I would like to get it to a finish that I'm happy with. So I'll try some more. I'm going to add some scaly texture down the legs anyway, so maybe that'll hide it, I don't know. But I'm pleased with the position they're in, because normally when I'm doing it, there's either one leg longer than the other, and I've got to adjust it somehow, but I'm pretty pleased with this. It's stand on its own. Even I will be putting it on a plinth, but it's just experimenting with stuff to see how stuff looks and what takes. So I will get on with trying to solve this problem. Back again. So I am excited about this project that I'm doing, but I'm really disappointed by the legs that I did. I mean, it is my first ever doll transformation, so I mean, I can't be too hard on myself, can I? But it's the first time I've used this milliput stuff. Now, because I haven't used it before, I didn't want to sculpt the full bed's legs out of it. And it's a good job I didn't really, because I did enjoy the texture of it, the wet, clayey effect. Clayey, is that a word? But for doing fine detail, On the box it says it's really good for fine detail, but I just couldn't achieve that. I'll show you the mess that I've done. Really, I just got the milliput for, do you know the join, to join the plastic leg to the clay leg, because the super sculpey that I use, it cues in the oven, and you can't put the doll in the oven because it'll melt. So for the join, I mean, I did buy some of that 2-part epoxy stuff. I can't remember what it was, but it cost me $34.99 just for 2 small tubs. And that's just really expensive. So milliput was the cheapest solution for me. And I mean, I've seen people use air drying clay, but I've used that before and it took like a few days for it to cure. So I like to see my results instant. And if you, well, not instant, you know, like 4 hours or whatever, and then you can correct any mistakes without it dragging on for weeks. But on here I wanted to put some detail, and that just looks a terrible mess. I put some the milliput, you know, the scaly bits on the legs, and it was just sticking to my hands all the time as I was trying to put it down. So as it was sticking to my hands and sticking to the clay, it was tearing, so it wasn't very good. Well, nor is what I thought in my head. Maybe when it's painted it'll look fine. And this bit, I was trying to put some scaly texture, and I didn't want it too thick, and really I wanted to hide the, you know, the imperfections of the joins and stuff. Because I tried filing it down, I must have had the wrong file because it wasn't doing anything. But that's disappointing. But saying that, she's going to be wearing a steampunk dress, you know, with the, what do you call it, the cage thing. And I want it to be, the dress to go, like, flicks out here and it'll go down to her feet. So really, you'll just see the front of the legs, and so you won't see the back bit. But I know that's there. That's why it's so disappointing. But well, I'll just show you these other things I've got since I got into this building robots from trash. I thought I could is the word incorporate it into the doll. So what I wanted to do was one of her hands I wanted to be like do I need to go out a bit? Oh, come on. I want it to be like a claw, so I can do that with wire, and I'm going to use that epoxy, 2-part epoxy. And this one, I wanted it to be like, do you know, like a steampunk gun? So she's got no hand, so it would be attached here. But I didn't want to do it out of clay because the arms are only thin, and that means that I either have to replace the whole arm or drill it and wire it, and it might crack. Because I'm not sure about this type of skinny plastic. So I was wanting to get like a plastic kid's toy about this long and put it to the attach it to the arm and spray the whole thing with white primer. Now I did order some, and they've sent me leather fabric paint instead. Ugh, made her. So I'm gonna have to go out tomorrow. So I'll just show you these things that I got. Now I've just been, well, an hour ago I went to the charity shop, and I was on my hands and knees looking through all the kids' junk things, and I found this little lot here. I mean, it's just, okay, there's some dinosaurs and a dragon in that, but the rest is just like tat that nobody wants. So what I wanted was a cannon or a gun, but never seen anything like that. But what I did find was this, is this an octopus or a squid? And I just thought it looked really interesting. Do you know, like, if I could make this octopus into a gun, some sort of gun, sort of put this on her arm, and then, you know, when you get those paintbrushes and they've got those little plastic things on the end, sort of make a gun with this octopus. I just thought that would, I mean, it is steampunk and it just look a bit freaky, wouldn't it? Yes, I had that idea. And these are the bits, I mean, dinosaurs. They're quite useful for the tails and the heads. And then this really cool thing, I could put a wire, what would you say there is? Like a wire rivet, or I don't know what you call it. Here, and then attach it to like a head, so this goes up and down. Or maybe it could just go on top of a head for decoration, I don't know. All these ideas. And I mean, this is just like a sporty cup, like if you win something, but you could make that into so many things. And just like little swords and that, always useful. Don't know what that was for, but I just like the shape of it. Kinder Surprise egg. Little sword, and I could shove that in. Would that go? Something like that. Oh, that would be really good for a robot's hand. Just some ladders and things. Oh, and one shoe. I just like the shape of that. You could use that. So, I mean, looking at it now, it just looks like a shoe. But once you attach it to wherever you're building and then put the primer on, it takes form. Oh, look, it looks like an eagle almost. And then another axe. A hammer. I've been on eBay looking for, action figure weapons and stuff, and they're so expensive. There was one of them that it was like a little cannon and it was gold, and I thought that would be brilliant for Steampunk. And they wanted like £20 for just a few of them, so expensive. So I'm just going to have to wear myself out and go around the charity shops, sitting on the floor rummaging. You see the best things that way. And this thing, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, I think it's some sort of activity toy, like a gate or something. And I just thought to myself, if I ever built like I don't know, like a castle or a dungeon or something like that, I could sort of use that as a template, couldn't I? Or an idea for gates, or like what do you call them things? Gargoyles hanging out, and yeah, so yes, so this was my little lot. So I am going to make a steampunk gun. So I'm going to have to rummage through all my junk and see what I can come up with to build a gun. But I do really like this idea as a gun. Well, so I'll just get on to that. Hey, look, I've been talking for nearly 9 minutes. But ideas for you, ideas, that's what you need. Well, as you can see, I've changed my mind about putting claws on the end of her wrists for hands. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I thought about one of her hands being like a, what do you call them, a rotary cutter thing. And that one, I'm not sure what I was thinking, whether a hammer or a listening device. I am not sure at all, but I'm just messing around with junk here, so I don't know. So I've come up with an idea for the gun. This piece here, it fits snugly over the doll's arm. These tubes are what you find on the end of paintbrushes. So I've put a few of them together. That's just some bit, I think it's of a kid's toy. That's a wall plug, and that's a candle holder that you shove into cakes. So what I'm going to do is glue them all together in a way that represents a gun, a sci-fi gun or something like that. Then what I'll do, I'll prime it with white. Well, before that, I'll probably stick some sequins or something on for decoration and like a grip, so it looks like a gun. I don't know. And then I'll prime it with white, and then probably paint it gold, and then I might add some cogs in there on for steampunky. But sorry, I can't show you me gluing everything together because it's just a bit difficult at the moment. So this is what I've come up with for the steampunk gun. It's all glued together. For a bit of texture and also a stronger bond, I've added some bicarbonate of soda. It's really good using that stuff. So what I will do next is glue some of these plastic lump sequin things on for a bit more interest. I'm just hoping, I mean it feels pretty lightweight, but I'm hoping it's not too heavy for the doll's arm. If it is, I'm going to have to wire the arm and glue it into a position that is desirable. But I'm pretty pleased with that. It was just unfortunate I couldn't find anything in the second-hand shop, but I did have fun putting this piece of junk together. And it does look like a pile of junk, but once I've put the primer on it and painted it and added all the little accessories and stuff, it's going to look fabulous. So while I've got my camera out and my phone is the battery's gonna die, so I may as well show you this. It looks like this video I'll have to try and, it's gonna be all over the place. So I painted the legs gold and the nails silver, so I'm pleased with them. The gun that I pieced together, I primed it with a white primer and then I painted it gold acrylic paint. It took about 3 to 4 coats, and then the little stud buttons on it, I painted them silver. Just 1 coat with that. Yes, I'm pretty pleased with that for a steampunk gun. But unfortunately, I've got no more tubing left. So I'll have to see if any of my friends has got any little bits of tubing. So there's, I fixed the arm up, so it's in a position like that because I want the gun to go on here. Where's the gun fixes on there, so whatever position. Don't know if that's a bit too high, might put it down that way. Is it top heavy though? But saying that, I've got to do the skirt, the dress and everything with a cage on, so that's going to weigh it down a bit. So what position does she go in? It looks like she's leaning back like that. Well, because I'm in 2 minds whether to put the doll on a plinth yet, because she can stand just with those legs I made. So it all depends after I put all her gear on and stuff. If she goes like too top heavy and starts to go forward, I might have to just put her on a plinth. But I'm pretty pleased so far. So I would like to make a top hat for my steampunk doll. And I would like to say I use my common sense to get the sizing for the head. I was just drawing circles and putting them over the top of the head, because I think on a hat you've got to have it just above the ears, well, so it rests on your ears for the doll. So I was just cutting various sizes to see if they'd go, and then I've just been thinking to myself, how do people make hats? Do they call them milliners? But so I could have looked on YouTube to see how you do that, but I'm thinking now maybe you just measure around the head, and then I've got a template with circles, but I can never find it. I thought it was on my bookshelf, but it wasn't. It's not. So maybe I could measure around the head and then look at the sizing of the circles, and that's the circle I will get for the hat. But no, haven't got any common sense. So this is the one, and it's not a perfect round shape, but it sort of goes. Or is it the other one? Oh, wherever. So I found this lid and that is the size, so I'm going to sketch around that and see if that fits. Well, a half a tree of wasted paper later. Well, I finally found washi tape, so I just drew the circle for the inner of the hat. I mean, it doesn't go right down to the ears, but I want to put some hair on this chick. So, I mean, I've made some hair, and I don't want her head to be completely covered. So I think that is alright. So I'm going to go away and have a mess around with the shape of the hat and see how I'm going to put it all together. So I had a guesstimate and thought this should be for the rim of the hat, and then I traced the shape onto, look at all those cat hairs, terrible Ziggy. So then oh look on the other side as well. Murder. Right, so I made a guesstimate and thought that would look alright for the rim of the hat. So then I traced that out and then put it onto some, what's that called? Evofoam, craft foam. So there we go. And then it's a bit raggy and everything, but I'm not going to use this craft foam to make the actual hat. I'm going to use Warbler. So that looks alright, I think. So then I'm going to figure out how to do the top of the hat. Hello Ziggy, say hi to everyone. Just woke up, haven't you? Washing your face now. So, there really must, well, there has to be an easier way of doing this, but like I say, I should have watched a tutorial on how to make a hat, a milliner. I'm sure that's what hat makers are called. So, that is the brim for the hat. I just want it to sort of sit on the top, because I don't want it to overshadow the head. So how I got the measurements for the top of the hat is the circle here, and this was a fiddle on. I'm sure I didn't have to do this. I just wrapped a piece of cotton around the hole where the head's going to go through. So fiddly it was. All I had to do was go on YouTube and look to see how you make it easier. But I want to do it from scratch, figuring it out myself. So I did that. And where's the piece of... where's it gone? Oh, well, anyway. So after I did that, that's not the piece because it's too long. So where have you... there it is. There. So I did that, and then I just lined up this string there, and I've drew this. I don't know what height I want it to be yet, but... so I'm getting somewhere. As I was making it, I thought to myself, I have made something like this before out of a toilet roll. I'm sure it must have been at nursery or something. But I'm sure it wasn't with super glue, because I'm sticking all my hands up together. So... this is where I got to. I'm not, as I said, I'm not making it out of foam. I just want to make it out of foam to see if it all fits before I use the Warbler, because that's expensive. But if you were using foam, see the rough edges, I can never cut on the line. So it's always going to be rough and ready. And what I would do is use the Dremel. Do you know the... would it be the sandpaper tool? Well, the buffing tool I think I'd be probably use. And just try and get rid of some of these jagged lines, because you don't want jagged lines. So what I did was, I mean, this bit here, can you see? I stuck it with super glue, but it wasn't quite fitting because the edges are really thin. So I just put a piece of just a little piece of that to stick it to make sure it's stuck together. So this is just a prototype, so I made some little slits underneath, and this is what made me think I've made a hat before. Must have been in nursery. So then you would stick all these little slit bits all around to secure it. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to waste my glue. There's no point. Because I just wanted to see if the hat would fit in it. Well, it would do if I hadn't stuck that chunk of foam there, but yes, it does go on. And I mean, Warbler is easy to manipulate when it's heated up, so even if it didn't fit, I could just sort of stretch it and pull it to make sure it did fit. But I will be putting some protection on the doll's head, like, what would I use? Cling film or some sort of plastic, because I don't want the heat of the Warbler to melt or misshape the head. So yes, I'm pleased with that. And the top bit of the hat will just be the washi tape template. I mean, if you were making this out of Evo foam, you'd just glue that on top, I guess. But with the Warbler, you just heat it up and slap it on top, and the heat helps it to stick to itself. But after I make this, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to look for a tutorial how to make a doll's hat. Because I bet you there's much easier ways to do it. But as I say, I wanted to do this from scratch my way. But I don't think I'll be using my way again if I find a simpler way. So yes. So I'm just talking to myself now, so that'll be up there, so you will see some of her hair, so that's good. And I plan to put some, I want to make some birds' wings and put them either side so they stick up in the air. And then I want to make a pair of miniature steampunk glasses to go over the front. But that's another thing for me to figure out. I could use bits and pieces, I suppose. Oh, look, just talking to myself now. Right. So this is my first time using Warbler. I bought it in this big roll like this, and it was awkward to cut a piece out. Because, I mean, to get it flexible, I use the heat gun, but I'm not going to use the heat gun on this whole thing. So I just cut a small section out. And I think I'm going to have a mess around with it first. It feels like, well, just plastic basically, because it is them plastic. If you want to know how to use it properly, I suggest looking at a tutorial on eBay. I was going to say Amazon. On YouTube. That's where you would look. Because I've been looking, I've done a whole lot of research, so I know how to use this and how to paint it and everything. Because apparently you can't just apply. I thought I was going to put like a primer on it, a matte primer, and then paint it, but apparently you put wood glue on it. So I think what I'll have to do is a few experimentations to see what works best for me. So the first thing I've noticed about this is you can't draw on the back of it because it's like a shiny plasticky. And on this side, I don't know if you can see, I've drew around this with a pencil and you can barely see it. So I'm going to have to use a pen. Well, talk about fiddly. So I used my white Posca pen to mark it up, to mark the pattern. And they say it's easier to cut when it's heated up, but if I was you, I wouldn't do that because I heated it up and when I went to cut it, it started stretching. So the line was straight when I drew it, but when I finished, it was all wonky. So then heated this up to place it on top of the base, not like I did there, do you know, where I done all those little snippy things. I just put it directly on top of here because it sticks on itself. But make sure you don't knock it, because I did, and it's not like a perfect round. Not that I'm seeking perfection. And this is now stuck to the base of my glass board. So I'm just going to wait till it cools down and then see if I can scrape it up. If not, I'm going to have to heat it up again and then try and pull it off here, and then it's probably going to warp it. Well, I've finished the hat now. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty pleased with it. Just fit the doll. I've put it on a slope so it doesn't like overshadow her face, and I sort of push the sides up to make it look more interesting. The top, as you can see, it's not completely round. That's because see the bits at the back here, when I was heating the gun up, instead of joining them just so they were like on here, they sort of overlapped, so no longer a circle. But I mean, I'm not bothered about that, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is wait till it completely hardens, and then I'm going to paint it with some wood glue. I think you've got to do about 4 coats, but with this hat being so small, I think about 2 should do it. And then I don't know whether to, well, I think I'll have to put a bit of a primer on it, and then I don't know what colour I'm going to go for, because I want the wings to be like feathers. Wings to be feathers. I want the feathers to be gold, so I can do a gold hat, and I don't want to do a black hat. I don't know. And now I've got to make the plague mask, so that'll be another challenge in itself. So all these little scrap bits of your warbler, no matter how small, don't chuck them out. Not that I chuck anything out. I mean, all my little fabric pieces, I've got loads of that, because it always comes in useful. So don't chuck this out. All you do is heat it up with your heat gun and scrunch it all together. I watched one lady and she put it in a dish in the oven, but I think I'm a bit scared to do that because it might burn. Some people put it in boiling water, but it's getting it out again, isn't it? And you burn your fingers. So they say you get all this together, heat it up, scrunch it up into a ball like you would do with clay, and then roll it out with a rolling pin or put it through your pasta machine, and then you've got another sheet of this. So I'll be experimenting with that as well. Many pieces of paper in either form later. So what I've been doing is trying to figure out how I will create the steampunk mask, the plague mask. So I drew this basic shape out on graph paper. That's the sides of it. And then the gusset underneath of the beak. And then I just drew the pattern pieces out on either form just to do a prototype and glue them together. I'll show you what I've got so far. Oh, it's really awkward and difficult because I haven't done this before. So, and here's a tip. Learn from my mistakes. If you're going to make a mask or anything for your doll, don't do the face up first. Where I've put the Mr. Clear spray on to protect it, a bit of it's come off because I've been trying to fit the mask on and do the proportions and change the pattern and that. But still, that, I don't know if you can see where the flecks have come off. that won't really show because I've got the hat and the mask and that. But still, you don't want to ruin your hard work. So this is what I've got. I stuck the two sides together and the gusset underneath, and then I wasn't going to put a gusset at the front, but when I put the mask on her face, it didn't really fit properly, and I'm stuck now. I'm unsure how to connect this. Because it's only a prototype, I didn't put the heat gun on it. You can, if you're going to do it out either form, put the heat gun on and it's more flexible and you can bend it into a better shape, but I didn't really want to do that because it is just a prototype. So I've put it on here and I don't know whether I need a gusset on the top now or what, so I'm stuck. So I'm just going to have a sit and think about it. And then when I come up with the preferred shape, then I'll make it out of the warbler. But I'm thinking with the warbler, when you heat it up, it becomes more flexible. If I put some cling film over the doll's face, then I could get the basic shape I need out and sort of manipulate it around the doll's face for a better shape. So I think that's what I will do. And there's Ziggy in the background. He's just had some licky yogurt and he's washing his hands and face now. Ziggy, are you going to say hello to everyone? Ziggy? No. I've now finished the hat. Before I put the paint on, I used this clear gesso, about 4 coats. I was surprised with it being so small. And I applied this, that's the back of it. I put some velvet ribbon on because I plan to put some steampunk goggles on. I'm still unsure about the feathers. I don't know if that'll be overkill. Don't know if you can see this light bit here. I don't know what possessed me. After it was all gessoed and I applied some bronze, 2 coats of bronze paint inside as well. To attach the velvet ribbon, I used super glue. I don't know why I did that. I should have used Fabri-Tac. So of course it was stuck all over my fingers. Then my fingers got stuck on top of the hat. When I pulled it away, it took the paint away. So I've added some more, but you can see where I've added it. But that doesn't matter. So then I went on to do the mask. The plague mask. I'm not going to bother with this now because when I put the hat on her and the mask, it does fit, but as you can see it's a bit chunky and clumsy looking, and I just think that'll be overkill, even though I did plan to have it removable. So I just stopped doing what I was doing because I was planning to round it off a bit more, and because it looks like square, doesn't it? I want it more round. It's going to file it and stuff. But I'll keep this and I'll use it for another project. I wonder if it's watertight. It should be, shouldn't it? Could use it as a little cup. So that is that. I bought this wool from Dunelm in the UK. It's Hayfield Spirit Chunky. Really nice. It's a mixture of very light blues, normal colour blue, a bit of grey, some purple, and some very dark grey. And I thought this would be ideal to make some hair for this doll. This is the first face-up I've ever done. It's not brilliant, but I'm very pleased with it because I didn't think I'd be able to do something like this. I wanted it to be like spooky, dirty-faced, which I think I've gone overboard with the cheeks. Yeah, so I'm going to make some hair for her. I wasn't going to, I was just going to paint her head and then leave it and put some flowers and stuff on, but I quite fancy some hair on her. So what I'll be doing is cutting it into strips and I'll shove it onto here. Well, it looks like the lighter coloured wool is right in the centre, because I've cut quite a few strips now and they all seem to be blue, grey, purple, but that's fine. I mean, look alright for the undead look, or wherever she is until I decide when I've finished her. So I've just put some strips of wool on here, like so. Oh, it's a bit awkward. I just put the loop on and then I've put it over here like this and pulled it through. Wow, well that's nearly straight, because quite a few of the others that I did weren't straight. I mean, straight's not really in my nature, but you want these lengths to be straight. Well, I'm just going to carry on along the length of the wood. You might think that's a bit long, but I done it really short last time, and when I was combing the hair out, with all the waste and stuff off the wool, it shrunk to half the size. So, I mean, I want average length hair for her, not massively long, but right, so I think that's a good mixture of colour. There's like purples, really dark grey, and some blues. I don't know if I've put too much on or too little, but it's just an experiment. So what I'll be doing is just using this brush to comb it slowly, and make sure you're not a dirty moo like me, and clean it after every project, because as you can see there's brown in there. So I'm going to see if I can get it out with this, because I don't want the colours getting contaminated. I don't know if I told you about the wool. It was £4 from Dunelm, 100 grams, and the ratio is 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and the shade is 402. And they've got some oranges and stuff. I bought an orangey one. So I will get on with combing this. Here you go, you can learn from my mistakes. So I've been brushing it here for 10 minutes and wondering why. I mean, I have done this before once or twice, and I was wondering why it was just all gone fluffy and not going like hair-like, and that is because I forgot to separate the strands. You've got to separate the strands and then start brushing. And I haven't even been on the gin. So this is what happens when everything goes wrong. Because I didn't separate the threads into 3 equal parts before I started scraping, it was very difficult to try and then separate them, because they were all getting knotted and tangled. So I thought, what the heck, I'll just continue brushing it, see what happens, and a disaster happened. It's just, as you're brushing it, it's just all becoming knotted and snapping at the top. That's what I want, is the nice fine bits, but it's not going to get like that, because it's just all knotting and snapping, and it's just an absolute mess. So what I was thinking, because it's a shame to waste this, I'll keep this, and it might do for, you know, like a witch's hair or something. I could coat it in acrylic, a light wash of acrylic paint, so it looks like matted witchy hair. because it just seems a shame to waste that. And the stick snapped. Oh, and that's the waste as well. The stick snapped. So I'm just going to have a rest and then start again. So at last I finally figured it out with the wool. Single the strands out, like when I'm separating the threads of my embroidery floss, and then tied it back onto here and brushed it, and there's a whole lot of waste. I'll show you here. That's from a few strands of wool, but I'm using this. I can use it for like stuffing soft toys and stuff like that. And this is the first time I've done this. Once you've got your wool sorted, you lay it down onto acetate or something similar, and then I've added this glue, tacky glue. I'm just hoping, fingers and toes crossed, that works. And I just put a dollop on the wool here and then just smoothed it over with a paintbrush. So I'll probably leave that overnight and see what happens. But it's the only piece of acetate I've got. I wonder what else I could use. Maybe a Ziploc food bag. I don't know, I'll try that. Yes, so that's that. This is the hair that I stuck to this acetate. So now I am going to just show you one piece. I don't know where it'd be good to look, I'm not in focus. Right. So I'm just gonna take it from the bottom and just peel it. Oh, it's coming off pretty well. I thought all the hairs and everything would come out. There you go. So that's what it looks like. So I'm just gonna trim the excess off. Not very good cutting with my right hand. There. So I've just cut the excess off, and what I will be doing, I will show you. This is the doll's head so far. I don't have to cover the full head because I'm going to glue the hat into place. But where is that? Siggy jumping all over the table. Look! So what I do is just, look, it's got Siggy hairs and I'll have to take them off. I just glue it onto the head like so and around to where I want it. But this I want to do, can't see, I want to do a fringe. Not a long fringe, just a short fringe. Yes, so I will get on with that. If I use my helping hands tool, I might be able to show you the process. If not,